ABC Radio Darwin.
Well, Kate, as you know, I do late-night radio because I am a vampire, so I have to avoid the sun at all costs, and as soon as the sun comes up in the morning, I scurry off to my coffin and I close the lid. So I'm hyper-aware of the dangers of the sun. So when the Anti-Cancer Council approached me to think of a way of warning the rest of the population, who perhaps quite like the sun, God knows why, I was only too happy to help. And I chose as my collaborators two extraordinary people, Alex Stitt and Peter Best. The three of us had done Life Be In It previously. You're probably too young to remember.
No, Norm, are you kidding?
Well, Kate, you sound very young. But it was a huge success, and it was the beginning, really, of attempts to do low-level social engineering in Australia, using television commercial techniques to teach people useful skills rather than getting them to differentiate between brands of cornflakes. So we came back together on it, and I can't quite remember who came up with the slogan Slip, Slap, Slop, but I do remember it was Peter, the composer, who came up with the idea of a sibilant seagull to sing his little song, and Alex, as always, did the animation. And it was meant to be a short-term campaign that had run perhaps a couple of years. But I've recently been advised that it's now the longest-running television campaign in Australia. It even outlived Louis the Fly.
It's quite incredible and must be, I guess, a good feeling to use your powers of persuasion for good rather than evil.
Well, advertising is, of course, as the Gruen report should warn and remind us, is a business for mercenaries, totally amoral, that'll do anything for a quid. But quite a lot of us were very left-wing, and we felt very guilty about that, so we sought chances to do sort of pro bono work that would, give us a shorter time in purgatory whilst avoiding hell.
Why do you think he resonated so well, and that message resonated so well, not just in Australia, but in many other countries overseas too?
Did it go international? No one's ever told me that. I shall demand royalties.
Well, the internet has told me today that apparently New Zealand picked it up. There are places in Canada that are doing a similar thing, and other places too.
Well, there you go. I didn't know that, Kate. Thank you for vouch chafing that to me. Alex is dead, so I can't pass it on to him. But I'll let Peter Best know immediately. Look, people don't like being lectured. People don't like authoritarian figures telling them how to behave, but they'll go along with with gentle humour, whether it's Norm in Life Be In It or Sid on the beach. And so I've always believed that the techniques that were advanced so brilliantly by, say, Sesame Street are totally appropriate methods of getting people to vote better. I would have liked Sid to have got involved, for instance, in the same-sex marriage campaign, but nobody asked him.
Not even in Victoria?
Not even in Victoria. Sid's very sullen about that. He wanted, same-sex marriage would be very good delivered in the sibilant song. All those S's.
Well, it's a remarkable achievement to have been involved in the creation of this most successful Australian health campaign. And it was news to me. I didn't realise that you were involved in it because as far as I was concerned, you've just been permanently sitting in this late night live spot.
Yes, sitting. I broadcast from an open coffin, actually, just so in case any shaft of light penetrates the gloom of the studio, I can sort of slip in and slap down the lid.
Did you have any trouble
That's
getting...
another version of slipping and slopping, is it?
Did you have any trouble getting Sid across, or were the powers that be that you were pitching this to happy to run with it?
Oh, they thought it was great. Australia had the best anti-cancer advertising in the world, and it was run by what was then the Anti-Cancer Council. Sometime later they dropped the anti for some reason. It just became the Cancer Council.
Yeah, which always confuses me, to be honest. It's a mixed message.
Yes, it does sound a bit odd, doesn't it? But the guy that ran it was a genius, and he took on the cigarette companies and started, influencing government policy, so the prices of cigarettes went up and up and up. That was one of his initiatives, and as they went up and up and up, sales went down and down and down. But we did breast self-examination, cervical cancer campaigns. We pretty much covered the field with various anti-cancer campaigns. But I must say that SID was the one that really took off.
Do you reflect on the lives saved by this kind of an idea, that an idea can save lives?
Well, ideas are not always that good. Ideas can kill, of course. There's some very nasty ideas floating around at the moment which are demonstrably dangerous, but it's good to think that at least in that case, a good idea, amusingly put together, was efficacious. And anyone that's been spared the lingering problems of melanoma or other forms of skin cancer should be very grateful.
ABC Radio Darwin.
Around about 2012, when I was down the beach, I noticed that this mole in particular was just getting a little bit bigger and started to change a little bit. Unfortunately, you get busy, family, work, all those sort of things, and you tend to put things off, which is not a good thing. Melanoma is such a varying thing that my stage went from stage 2 straight to stage 4. It transgressed pretty quickly to my lung, and so therefore it became pretty serious. I've always been one to wear sunscreen anyway, but I guess in my situation with my history is that I was outside a lot, especially in my youth. I was outdoors the whole time. I was surfing, I was playing tennis, I was playing cricket, and I was working outdoors. So there's 7 days a week that I was outdoors. I've changed some of my clothing and uniform, and if I need to use a sunscreen, well then I do. But if I can use a long sleeve shirt that's breathable and able to wear even in a sunny, hot, warm day like today, then that's much better. The message to my colleagues was, yep, it can happen to you, it's happened to me. I've worked in this industry, you're working in this industry. The risks are high because of what we have to do to complete our work. Start doing these things. The company itself gives you sunscreen, it's giving you a hat, but you need to take it on your onus yourself to make sure that you're doing the right thing. They said to me later on, "Oh, you look normal, you look fantastic." I said, "Yeah." I said, "That's melanoma. It's a black cancer. It hides, and it sits there, and then whammo, it gets you." Skin cancer can happen to you. You need to start making those changes now to minimise those risks, and start changing your attitude a little bit now, or a lot now, so that you don't develop those problems later on in life.